beautiful. Well, this is a great turnout. I appreciate all of you coming tonight. I hope you all can pick up some tips, and I know there's probably a lot of auditors amongst us. In fact, let's see a little show of hands here. Quality CQAs. Okay, not quite as many as I thought. All right. And how many of you work for organizations that have an internal assessment program? Okay, a little more hands there. All right, good. Well, I have a lot of information, and afterwards I have quite a few handouts to share with you. So depending on your interest level, you can feel free to take them or not. Not going to hurt my feelings, but I'll tell you what's in that packet later, but I thought this packet was enough to start with. So I have been around with quality for many years. You probably have seen me either with the Albuquerque Quality Network or State of New Mexico, Q&M, and of course active with this group as well. Quality practitioner for really about 20 years now. So I have experience in nonprofit, and I was with ASRT for 10 years out in the canyon, the American Society for Radiologic Technologists. I have experience with private sector, and then of course my most recent time was with the Department of Energy, with the Office of Secure Transportation. So on March 2nd, I accepted the position with UNM as their senior quality administrator. I'm on the wrong slide. Okay. And oh, going the wrong way, like you said, it's the backwards one. Very pleased to be there. Very excited about it. They have some pockets of brilliance and some major gaps. So we're gonna look at those and kind of see if we can't get some better alignment there. I'm delighted to be there, and I appreciate again all of you coming. This chapter has had been really a wonderful foundational chapter here in Albuquerque for many years. And the board of directors now, we have a terrific board. Thank you all for lining all this up, and everybody contributes, and it's just really been a great year so far, and looking forward to really, as Nell said, building this chapter in 2015. So we hope you'll bring more folks with you as time progresses, and particularly if you see a topic of interest, we hope that you'll encourage others to come. Members or not, we're always welcoming anyone interested in quality. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. So let's start with what is an assessment. We really have to talk a little about assessments. Some people use the term assessment and audit interchangeably, and that's okay to a point, but really if you're going to do a specific audit, it will be a compliance-based audit versus an assessment can be that or much broader. So we use the term assessment just because it's a little broader, and internal audits or first-party audits. So we'll talk about that. There are many types of assessments. All assessments must be fact-based, of course. So why do we self-assess? So there's lots of reasons that we do. Of course, the primary reason is to learn. Quality is all about learning. I've taught that for years, and it's like people look at me like, it's about learning? How learning? Personal learning, departmental learning, organizational learning. The learning that has to take place in order to improve begins with the point that we have to know what's going on. So education is what it's all about. So there's lots of reasons. Yes, compliance is probably the most popular one, but it's interesting when you have process owners and you can talk to them about You know, how current is their process? What are their references that they use? What steps stumble them? What gives them issues? What gives them heartburn? So all of these kinds of things, are we consistent, all shifts, all workers? You know, a lot of times, and certainly we had that at the Department of Energy, you know, the full-time people, they know it, but all of a sudden here comes a group in a surge situation. Do those people know it as well? Are they going to perform with the same amount of excellence? So we look at that. Of course, the effectiveness, the efficiency of a process is, do you look at cycle times? Do you look at bottlenecks? You know, where do processes run smoothly and where do they clog up, really? Are we accountable? A lot of times it's just an assessment. If you're doing an inventory assessment, do we have 100% accountability for every item that we're accountable for? And people want to know that. I mean, particularly in the departments, and people are proud of that. You know, that we have millions of dollars that people are accountable for, and what's the level of accountability? Is it to the item? Is it to the case? How does that work? Are those predetermined? How often? What's the frequency of auditing that, so that you have faith, you have validate that you don't have to have faith, you have validation that it's there. Okay, meeting goals, timelines, expectations. Are your process doing that? Was the message sent truly received? Lots of times people are told, okay, we're going to have this done by this time in this manner, reported to this person. Is that happening? Do we know it's happening? How do we know it's happening? Well, we know it through assessments. So, and most importantly, does the person doing the process agree that it's being done the best possible way? Who better knows that than the person doing the process? And we all know you have to go to those who do the process. And have you asked that person lately? Have you sat back and said, is this the best possible way? And it's amazing what people come up with. It's like, well, since you asked, I wish this could happen or that could happen. And it's like, well, let's talk about it, right? They're hesitant to tell you unless you go, take time, look at them and ask. If this could be improved, where should it be improved?
Well, we haven't been doing it that way for 6 months.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yes, Doug?
You mind if I throw a little bit of a sub point in there on the message sent, truly received? There's a big difference between receiving a message and was it read and understood?
Was it understood, right?
The act of receiving is only part of the picture.
Very good.
And so many people, for one reason or another, will not read, or they won't read with understanding.
Yes, thank you. Good process improvement. I'll add that next time. Okay, so there's a couple of major things that self-assessments allow us to do. First, they allow us to find the problems, right? So if you are really zoned in on something, you find out, is it really operating as we think it is? Because lots of times you find out, yes, it is, but often you say, gee, this did happen. And has it happened before? And when did it happen? And how often did it happen, right? So it does identify problems and defects or errors. How many of you have done an assessment and actually found a defect in the process? Okay. So had you not done that assessment, it would have gone unnoticed. Until what? A bigger problem comes, right? Exactly. Okay. And you can learn about the effectiveness and the efficiency of your training process, right? Of your hiring process. I mean, it gives you clues to all kinds of things. Equipment capability. Well, when somebody says, well, we always have trouble because this copier never works right, and that always slows up the process, and, well, as a quality advocate, it's your